Hello friends, welcome to this video. In this video, we will learn about AWS OpsWorks. Before learning OpsWorks, let's understand some of the key challenges that we currently have today. As we know, reliability and scalability of the applications are the important for any business. And these applications are not stagnant in nature. There are continuous provisioning and deployment, those are happening. There is a continuous monitoring needs to be done. There is a scaling that has to be done. There is a configuration changes which kept on changing because of the requirement or because of some other factor, and then there is an enhancing in the security. So these things will continually happening for any of the applications, and these challenges will increase as your application also grows in your organization. Initially you probably start with 10-15 servers, and maybe later few months it will reach 100 servers, and as the customers or the users increases of that particular application, you will see that you will reach 500,000 servers for that particular application, and your infrastructure grows accordingly, right? Now let's imagine that you have to do a change in certain configuration on some hundreds of production servers. How do you do it? Let's say you want to change specific configuration of an Ethernet card of all the 100 servers, or do something else, right? How do you do it? So do you want to do it manually, or do you write a script to do that particular thing? Both can be done, but both has its own challenges. In terms of manually, it is error prone. So maybe because of human error, the person may do something else on that particular production environment. Then later on, understanding what the changes that he has done, what which is not supposed to do, and troubleshooting and rectifying that problem will take a more longer time than not doing it, right? And then in terms of scripts, so for how many changes, how many scripts do you write, and does that script provide you also an output in terms of on how many servers it is successful, on how many servers it is not successful? Even if it is not successful, why it is not successful? Are there any logs? Are there any other thing that it can provide? Probably not, or probably you'll have to end up in writing such a sophisticated script to do all these activities, right? So this is the current challenge that is happening today, and to address these challenges, there are configuration management services which are available in the industry today. And out of all available configuration management services, the Chef and the Puppet, so these two tools are very popular in nature. AWS OpsWorks is similar to what the Chef and Puppet are, but it is from an AWS. Okay, AWS started a new service called as an OpsWorks, and that is more like a Chef and Puppet, which is a configuration management service from AWS. So what is AWS OpsWorks? So it's definitely a configuration management service. It's a service that provides managed instances of Chef and Puppet as well. So for on-premise, if you want to have your Chef and Puppet environment, then you need to have your own servers, deploy Chef and Puppet and deploy the servers and everything, right? So what you can do with the AWS is, using this OpsWorks, you can also take a managed services of Chef and Puppet. Then this particular Chef and Puppet automates how the servers are configured, deployed, and managed across your AWS EC2 instances. And not only EC2 instances, it also helps you to manage your on-premises environment as well. So with the OpsWorks, though it takes all the advantages of Chef and Puppet, it is a managed service. Plus, you can manage not only the on-premise services, you can also manage your Amazon EC2 instances. In terms of offerings, AWS OpsWorks has three offerings. One is called as AWS OpsWorks for Chef Automate, and then the second one is Puppet Enterprise, and the third one is an OpsWorks Stacks. So if you want to take an enterprise class of Chef and Puppet, or Puppet for the on-premise, then you need to build the entire server infrastructure and you have to do that, right? You can take these two services as a fully managed service from AWS. When I say it's a fully managed service, the entire deployment of Chef Automate as well as Puppet Enterprise, as well as managing the operating system, the servers, the entire infrastructure is the responsibility of AWS. You can just go and enjoy that particular service or use that particular service as a from a user perspective. So these two are the fully managed services available from Opsworks. The third service that we have is Opsworks Stacks. So this is an AWS build um, uh, automation configuration management system, which is based on Chef Automate, but it has its own other advantages as well. So these are the three services that you have from AWS in terms of Opsworks. AWS Opsworks Stacks. So in this particular video, we will learn more about Opsworks Stacks. It supports both AWS and on-premises environment. You can model your application as a stack containing different layers. So the entire environment that you want to build, the entire infrastructure that you want to build, you can make it as one stack and you can build that, and that could involve any of the infrastructure that you would like to use in terms of EC2, the load balancers, the databases, the application servers and all. You can deploy and configure EC2 instances in each layer, okay, or connect other resources such as RDS as well. That's what I explained. Like you can have a combination of multiple AWS services as part of your stacks. The advantage of Opsworks Stacks is it supports automatic scaling. So you can scale based on the load or the number of hits to that particular application. You can take a decision to scale out and scale in the application, the infrastructure of that particular application. Then it also supports recipes from Chef using a Chef Solo. Chef Solo is an open source tool that will help you to run the cookbooks without having a server locally. It's called as a Chef Solo, and using Chef Solo you can use the recipes from Chef directly. In terms of AWS Opsworks benefits, so it supports any application, so there is no limitation in terms of any of the application that it does not support, so it supports any application. You can define, you can use Opsworks to build configuration as a code. So you would like to build certain infrastructure, and the entire infrastructure or the environment, you can write it as a code and which can be reusable. So that's another advantage of going with Opsworks. Automation to run at scale, as I explained. So depending on certain criteria, you can decide to scale up and scale down your environment. It happens automatically using Opsworks. Then resource organization. So the one very good thing about Opsworks is, so it has a layer concept. Using the layer, you can segregate your different infrastructure that is required. Like you can have one layer for RDS, one layer for EC2s, and whenever you want, these layers can be used in your stack, and you can take a decision whether you want that particular layer or no. Okay, so those things can be achieved using a resource organization. So these are some of the benefits where the people or the organization uses Opsworks. In terms of Opsworks components, so you can see this is an Opsworks stack. So when we say stack, it is a group of resources or a groups of at this moment in time I'll say resources. It's a group of resources which are meant for a specific application. Okay, this is an Opsworks stack. Each stack will have something called as the layers. So each environment, you can assume that you can have EC2 instances where you want to host an application. You can have load balancer. If it is on a high availability in a clustered environment, you can have a load balancers. You can have RDS, and each one of them is a layer, a separate layer. You can build this layer, and this layer can be used in stacks. Okay, so you have a flexibility wherein you can build them separately, and whenever you want, you can use them in a specific stacks. So AWS also called the services such as load balancers, RDS as service layers. Why they are called as service layers is because they usually don't require themselves, so they are associated with a service called as an EC2, which is the main layer where the applications are hosted. So these are the supporting layers. That's why it's called as the service layers. How do you write the configuration required for an EC2? For example, which EC2 type to be used, which operating system on this EC2 to be used, in which region this EC2 to be launched, whether it requires what kind of a load balancer, is it a classic, is it a ALB, is it a TCP load balancer, or what kind of an instance in the RDS required, whether it is a high availability RDS instances or whether it is a MySQL, or all such things are written as part of the cookbooks. So cookbooks are nothing but they specify the configuration required in your OpsWorks stack. But imagine a situation wherein you have hundreds of the servers, you have multiple load balancers, and then you have a few RDS instances. Do you really, is it feasible to write all the entire configuration in a single file and reuse that? It may not be a right approach. What you probably want to do is you probably want to write specific files or the specific configurations and segregate them or separate them, right? And this is what the precise recipe does. So cookbooks are nothing but it's a group of recipes. In each of the recipe you specify what exactly is required. Say you can write one recipe for your EC2 instance, okay, you can write another recipe for your load balancer, you can write another recipe for your RDS, and even if you have multiple databases you can have one recipe for let's say a MySQL RDS. You can say one more recipe for your Aurora RDS or something like that, right? So it is recommended and suggested that you have multiple recipes which are specific, or you write a recipe which are very specific in nature, and each recipe should do a certain specific activities, and these recipes can be called from other recipes as well, and that is one of the recommendation, and these can be reusable component, and multiple recipes which are used for one OpenStack, one OpsWorks stack is called as a cookbook, right? So one cookbook you can build which has multiple recipes, and when you give it to OpsWorks stack, it will become an entire application. So this is all about application, this is all about infrastructure, right? So where is your application? So the application comes from another source. Application, your actual application may not be part of your cookbooks, right? So they are separate components. So these application codes will also come from its own repository into the OpsWorks stack, right? So these are the different components that the OpsWorks has. So this is one of the sample recipe that I have for you, and as you can see that this is very specific to install an Apache package on different versions of the Linux, as you can see, and this is written in Ruby. All the recipes, okay, are written in Ruby language, and these are the same recipes that are also used as part of Chef. That's what I said. Your OpsWorks stacks is mainly based on the Chef. So whatever whatever the formats, whatever the recipes, those are written in Chef. Those can be used in OpsWorks stack as well, right? So as you can see in this particular recipe, it's a package Apache to do something. Okay, if the platform is CentOS, Red Hat, Fedora or Amazon, then install a package called as an HTTPD, or if it is a Debian and Ubuntu, then it's an Apache 2. HTTPD is not a package to be installed on Debian and Ubuntu, so we are specifying a different package called as an Apache 2. So based on this decision, action is install. Okay, so this is very specific recipe which does an installation of a Apache package based on the operating system of that particular EC2. So this can be one recipe, and whenever you want to use whenever you want to install an Apache, then you can call this particular recipe, and that's how you reuse these recipes. And this is one of the recommendation from industry recommendation that your recipe has to be crisp and it has to be specific. You cannot write a very lengthy recipe to do many activities or many tasks. Let's take an example, a typical web application, and this particular web application has app servers and which are behind your load balancer. So whenever users are accessing these app servers, they pass through the load balancer, and depending on the number of servers, these load balancer will send the request to different app servers, and these app servers can be on your auto scaling group, which will help you to scale in and scale out depending on the load at that particular moment in time on these app servers, right? And all these app servers will write the data into the database server, right? So this is a very typical web application that any web application will have in the organization, right? Now let's try to segregate them. Let's try to understand what are the stacks and the layers in this particular thing. So if I had to segregate these things in terms of stacks and layers, just to have a better understanding about these terminologies, because stacks and layers are very key components of your ops works, and you have to understand the stacks and the layers. So if I have to segregate them, if I have to identify those stacks and the layers here, you can see that the entire orange color is an AWS environment. Within that, we create a stack. The blue color that you can see is a OpsWorks stack. So within the OpsWorks stack, in one stack, you have multiple components. So you have an RDS here. The database is represented as an RDS here, and then there is an application layer. This application layer is nothing but your EC2 instances, and then you have a load balancer. The load balancer is nothing but an elastic load balancer, right? So each one of them is considered as a different layer. Okay, so there is a layer for RDS, there is an application layer, sorry, there is another layer for your application server, and there is another layer for your load balancer. This is how your stack is a complete thing which comprises of each of these layers, right? And how does the configuration of or the information about these layers come? They'll come from a cookbook repository. So you create a cookbook, and in that you write different recipes for each one of them, right? How I want an RDS. What should be the configuration of an RDS instance? So what should be the operating system? What should be the EC2 type to be used for an RDS? What should be the version of the database that you are using? All such things are written in a cookbook repository as recipes. The same way, for the application servers, if you want to host an EC2 of a specific type, for a specific with a specific AMI, with a specific the region, all those things are written as part of cookbooks, as part of the recipes within the cookbook, right? And the same holds with the load balancer as well. Yeah, so I hope this gives a clarity of stacks and the layers and the different components. And then we discuss about the application. So cookbooks takes care of only your infrastructure. It doesn't take care of your application. And your application, your developers are writing an application which will be hosted in one of the app repository. So we can take two examples here in terms of an app repository. The first app repository could be your GitHub, of course, which is most popular. A lot of people are using GitHub. Apart from the GitHub, you can also use your code commit. So code commit is an application repository similar to GitHub, which is AWS native service. So you can use code commit as well. So there are people who uses S3 as well as part of their app repository. So whenever they develop certain things, they put it on the S3. From S3, you can initiate an event and transfer the codes, the updated codes to the EC2. You can do that as well, but not many people uses it, but that could also be one of the possibilities, right? So you have different choices of keeping your repository, and this is the entire stacks and the layers that you build in terms of the OpsWorks. So hope this brings a better clarity in terms of the stacks and the layers. And by this time, I hope you understand how the ops works, what are the advantages of the ops works here. And let's see it live on the AWS. Let's have a quick demo and in understanding how the ops works to be configured on a AWS. So for this particular configuration, what we will do is we'll create a stack. We'll add a layer to this stack. Then we specify the app to deploy to the instance, and then we will launch an instance. Then we deploy the app to the instance, then test the deployed app, and then we'll do the cleanup as well. So cleanup has to be part of all the lab and the demos, otherwise unnecessarily you will be increasing your monthly payout and you will be paying the amount. So cleanup is the important, so we'll do the cleanup as well. Okay, so for this particular demo, I will take a cookbook reference from one of the AWS's sample cookbook that has been built by AWS and kept on Amazon AWS itself for publicly available. I will use the application again from AWS itself. So this is from AWS Labs. So again, it is freely available for public. So you can also refer to these links. And then there is a method that has been deployed by AWS that's called as a Node.js demo. So this is basically a Node.js application, but that should not make any difference to us while we are deploying the application. Right, as we discussed that OpsWorks works with any application, but in this example this is predominantly Node.js demo, so that's fine with us. So what I will do to start executing this particular demo, I will go to the AWS site. I have already logged in there and I'm onto the services. So if you already accessed the OpsWorks, it will be in your history. Otherwise you can type OpsWorks here and that particular service will be open. And meanwhile, I have also opened another tab just to show you that how many EC2s are running here. I have two EC2s running here. One is a Python server and code deploy implemented for some different demonstration. These two instances are not at all used for this demo, so just ignore it. They are anyway in a stopped mode. So I'll just go back to the OpsWorks. If you haven't if you haven't have any stacks so far created, then this is the welcome screen that you will have, right? Yeah, and it walks you through the different things that we have it on the OpsWorks. So what you can do is you can say add your first stack. Either you can click here or you can also click here, add your first stack. Both will open the same page. Then you have three different options. One is called as a sample stack. So if you just want to execute some sample application from AWS which is already built into the stack, then you can use sample stack, or you can use Chef 12. It's a 12 version of the Chef which will help you to bring your own cookbooks, or you can use Chef 11 which will help you to do only the built-in cookbooks. Okay, so in this particular case, as I said, we are using one of the cookbooks developed by, of course, AWS, but that's our custom cookbook. So I would like to go with a Chef 12 stack. Then I'll give a stack name here and I will call it as a demo stack. And then the region, I would like to work in Mumbai region. So I was here in Mumbai region, so I will continue to work in a Mumbai region. And then it will ask for a VPC. So you have an option of creating this particular stack, all the resources of this particular stack within the Mumbai within the default VPC, or you can also create another VPC as per your requirement, and you can refer to that as well. So I would go with the default VPC. I do not have any other VPC available here. So I'll say default subnet. I'll go with 1A, 1B, 1C. So I'll go with 1A, the default one. Then you have an operating system choice. Either you can go with a Linux or a Windows operating system. So I will go with the Linux operating system. And I will choose Amazon Linux. You have different operating systems, those are supported. Right? So in our case, I will go with Amazon Linux. And then default SSH key. If you really want to log into this particular EC2 instance later, then you can use your SSH key. I do not want to do that, so I'll just leave it like that. Then Chef version is 12, as we have chosen here. The Chef version is 12 stack, so it's a 12 version. Then you have custom Chef cookbooks. Yes, we want to do that because we really want to implement a custom built cookbooks from Amazon, and we want to incorporate that. Then it will ask you where is it available. So you have different repositories, right, where you can place the cookbooks. So one of the repository is Git. So we don't have it in the Git. As you can see, it starts with HTTPS. So we don't have it in the Git. So it's a HTTPS repository. So what I will do is I will go to HTTP archive. So I'll choose this, I'll make this one as an HTTP archive, and then I will choose the entire URL where that cookbook is available. I'll just place it here, and then username, if you want to if there is a username and the password to access this particular repository, then you can give that. Currently we don't have it because, as I said, this is open for public viewing and public download, so it is there is no credentials required from an AWS to access that. Then I'll say advanced. Then I do not want to change anything here. So there is a default root device type. So as you know that EC2 can be an EBS backed or an instance store backed. So I still want to keep it as EBS backed. IAM role, I will keep the IAM role which was already created as part of my previous demo. So I can say new IAM role. It's just going to create a role for you. You're not going to define anything here. Whatever role that is required, whatever the access that is required, AWS is going to create on your behalf. Okay, since I already have it, I do not want to create the other one. I just give it as AWS OpsWorks service role. Okay, then default IAM instance profile is the same. Then the endpoint region is AP-South-1 because I'm in a Mumbai region. Then there's a host name theme. Host name is if you when you go to multiple when you have multiple instances to be launched, how the host name should be given is this option. So you have many algorithms, as you can see, right? So layer dependent is, so let me just show you what is layer dependent. So in the case of layer dependent, automatically naming instances. For example, layer dependent theme will append an instance number to the layer name. For example, it keeps giving like 1 2 3 and all, right? So that's what it is. And then OpsWorks agent name. So every EC2 that is creates will be hosted with an agent. Okay, and this is the version of that agent. So I will go with the latest one or the defaultly chosen. Okay, and then use OpsWorks security group as well. Yes, and then custom JSON. If you want to pass anything to this particular chef as part of your parameters, you can specify. I do not want to give. I'll just leave it blank and I'll say add stack. And the demo stack will be created in no time, right? Can you see here? So the demo stack has been created, but this particular stack currently do not have anything. So what we created so far is, I'll just go back here. So what we created here is only this particular stack. It doesn't have layers or anything, right? So what we will do as part of this particular demo, now we will come back here and we'll say we'll add a layer now, right? So to add a layer, we'll say and add a layer, and we'll call the layer as demo stack layer, and if there is a short name to that, let's call it as a demo layer. Okay, and I'll say add a layer, and it's a OpsWorks layer. So we just created a demo stack layer, that's it. Okay, and within the layer, as you can see, there are settings, there are recipes, there are network, there is a EBS volumes, there is a security, there is the CloudWatch logs and tags. So you can define all these as part of your layers, right? So we have settings, so which will help you to do the specific settings, and then we can say recipes. So custom recipes, no custom recipes are provided. Then you have network, then you have EBS volumes and everything. Let's edit this. Okay, and I'll go to recipes, and there is a deploy, right? So these are the different recipes that you can give. Like for example, what should happen when there is a setup? The setup is the first time when the EC2 is starting. Okay, that instance is starting. What you want to do? Is there any specific command? Something like, you saw in the example that there is an Apache package to be installed. Those things can be part of your setup. So you can write one recipe, such a recipe, and then you can specify saying that during the setup you please install your Apache package. Okay, then you have configure. Configure is setup is the first time. Configure is when the so what happens, you probably already having a 5 servers which are running, and configure will help you to and there are 5 more which are coming because of your auto scaling configurations. So the configure will help you to deploy the new changes to the, of course, to the new 5 EC2s which are coming as part of your auto scaling, as well as it will update your existing 5 EC2s which are available as part of that particular scaling. So that is done by configure. So just to make it little simple, configure will help you to do certain execute certain recipes on an existing running EC2s, right? Setup is for the new EC2s which are coming. Configure is for to perform certain activities for the existing EC2s. Then deploy, you can specify that I want to deploy this particular application. Undeploy, you want to uninstall. Maybe as part of the cleanup process, it will undeploy certain things. Then finally, shutdown. So before the shutdown, do you want to do something? Maybe you want to break the connection with something, or you want to send an alert, or something you want to do. Okay, that's the shutdown process. So these are the different processes that we have as part of your life cycle of an EC2, and for each of the life cycle you can define different recipes and you can attach to that. So what we do as part of this particular demo is we'll attach a deploy recipe, and the deploy recipe is already written by AWS, which is part of this particular the entire sample code that has been written by AWS. I will use this, and the way we specify is like Node.js demo. The first one is the cookbook name and then the recipe name. Okay, so we will do that and press enter so that it comes here, right? Then I will save it. Okay, then you have I'll just edit again and I'll go to network. So if you want to have a choice between public IP address or non-public IP address, whether you really want to give a public IP addresses or not, you can give that. EBS volume, if you want to add more EBS volumes, you can do that. So all these configurations, the security configuration, the security groups. So you also need to add, we'll add one more security group called as the AWS OpsWork Web App, which basically opens the port number 80. Okay, so we'll also add that. All these configurations you can do it at a layer, right? And I'll say do we need to do anything here? No. Let's say save. Okay, so whatever configurations those are required at your layer for a different layers, then you can go and do that as well. So we did it for recipes. We specified what has to be done during the deploy. Then we checked whether the public IP address is available or not available for these instances. If you wanted an ELB, you can go and attach an ELB here. Then you have an EBS volume. So we entered and see whether you have any additional EBS volumes apart from the operating system that is EC2 is creating. Then we looked at the security group and we added one security group as well, right? So we did that. Now what we will do, we will go ahead and create an apps. Okay, so currently there are no applications. We just created we just created the infrastructure, even though the infrastructure is still not ready. So let's create an instance first. Let's create an instance, because we also need an instance, right, to host an application. So we just created the underneath infrastructure. Now we will create an instance, and let's say add an instance, and then it will ask you what should be the host name. So it's a demo layer 1, and then size, let me stick to T2 micro, which is part of the free tier, and the subnet is this. I can go to advanced and I can say scaling type. I mentioned, right, OpsWorks also support the scaling, right? So the scaling to be done 24/7, or it's a time based, or it's a load based. You can take a decision on that. You can override some of the options. Like last time we specified we do not want an SSH key. If you really want an SSH key, I can go ahead with that. Then last time we said Amazon Linux 2, or if you want to choose something else, you can choose here. So you can override some of the configurations that you already specified as part of your stack. So I do not want to change anything. I'll just say add instance. Okay, and this particular instance is started. Sorry, this particular instance is created, right? And there is a instance here. And now what I will do, I'll go to apps and let's create an app. We don't have an app here, so let's create an app, and I will call this one as demo app, sorry, demo stack app. Document root, if you want to specify, no. Then data source type, so you can specify RDS as well, which we do not have it. Then it will ask me the repository where app is available, right? So I mentioned your cookbook reference is different and your app reference is different, right? So the app is available in the GitHub. AWS has put the reference in the GitHub, so I'll just use that. And the branch is optional. No, I wouldn't choose anything else. It's all the default one that I'm choosing, and I'll say add app. Yes, the app is also ready, right? So what we'll do now, we have all our infrastructure ready. We created an instances ready. We created layers and everything. We set it right. We have an app. So the first thing that we will do is we'll start this instance, because even to deploy, now we have to do a deployment. Okay, to deploy an app, we want these instances to be up and running, right? Without having an instance up and running, you cannot deploy an app, right? So what I will do is I'll start this particular instance. Okay, and this particular instance, starting of this instance will take some time, because it has to actually spin up an instance and start it. So I'll go to EC2 and I'll just refresh here. So as you can see, when we clicked start, so it has started launching an instance, right? So it is currently in a pending state, and it comes to an initializing state, and then it comes to an available state or running state. Then this status will get changed. So from pending, it will turn into an online. So I'll pause the video for some time, and once it is to the running state, I will again continue with the video. As you can see, the status is getting changed every now and then. So it was starting, now it is booting, right? And you can see here, setting up, shutting down, stopped, and errors. So these are the different states, and then we have an online. So this particular EC2 should come an online state. So it has already assigned an availability zone, a public IP to that, right? Still it is booting. So let's wait for some more time so that it comes in a running state or an online state. Now we are in running setup mode. As you can see, this will further take some time. As you can see, it turned into an online. So it took almost 5 minutes now. So online, and I'll go back to instances and check if it is in a running state, and status check is also healthy, and there you go, everything is there, right? Now our instance is also up and running. Now we have an apps here, so that is also up and running. And now we have to do a deployment. So for what we have done is just created an infrastructure, right? And now we need to do a deployment of this particular app. So I'll say deploy. Now this particular deploy is going to deploy the application that we have from Git to this particular instance, right? So I have a choice of deploy and undeploy. So as I explained, the undeploy is when you are shutting down, when you are deleting everything will get undeployed, right? So I'll say deployed. In the advanced, I do not want to specify anything. In the this also, I do not want to do anything. I simply say deploy. Now this will take some time, and it's going to deploy the server or this particular application onto the EC2 instance that we have created. So again, this is going to take some time, so I'll pause the video and come back once the deploy state is completed. So as you can see, the status has successful. It roughly took around 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes, and it's all up and running, right? So it took a duration, as you can see, it's a 1 minute 10 seconds is what it has taken. And if I say log show, it will show the entire log of what it has done. And as you can see, it has executed so many activities. it has deployed entire your application, right? So 297 lines, and that's why it took around 1 minute 10 seconds to do that. Okay, so let me come back here. Let me go to the instance, take the public IP of it and put it on the new tab, and as you can see, it's application. Congratulations, you just deployed your first app with AWS OpsWorks, right? Isn't that fantastic? Yeah, it's perfectly running. Yeah, so this is how you deploy, and as you can see the deployments, we have one deploy, and if I go to the monitoring of it, it will show the different parameters that we are monitoring: the CPU system, the memory, the load, the processes running. And then if I go to resources, I don't have any specific resources because we haven't created these resources, right? Elastic IPs, volumes, and RDS. And then if I go to, we are seeing the monitoring, then layers, of course you have seen, you have this particular layer, and the number of instances are in green is 1 because it means it is, you know, the one instances which is in a running state. If I go to the instances, it shows how many are in a running state. So anytime you can take a decision to stop it, or you can do SSH as well. And we cannot do SSH because we haven't chosen our key, right? So we cannot SSH as such, but there is an option to SSH directly from here. Okay, so this is how you do your deployment using an OpsWorks. So I can redeploy and do all that using this particular I can deploy in another application as well, or I can execute a command. So I can do all these activities using this. So what we will do as part of this activity now going forward is we will clean up everything. So as I said, cleanup is a very important aspect on the cloud. If you don't clean up properly, then you probably end up in having a unnecessary heavy bill. So don't do that. So after all your apps, you have to do cleanup as well. So what I will do, I'll go to apps, and there is a deploy here. So the first thing that we will do is let's delete this particular app that we had. So I deleted the app, then I come to the deployment, and see there is a undeploy that is already happening because we deleted the app, right? So now there's an undeploy process that is happening. So this will take some time because again it has to undo the all the activities that it has done to deploy that particular application. So I'm going to pause the video here. Once it is successfully undeploy, again I will continue with the video. As you can see, the deployment is unsuccessful now. Now if I go to the instance and if I do a refresh, still it is working because it is still working on an EC2, or probably it is coming from a cache. And I'll go back to this, and my undeploy is successful. Then I will go to instances, and let's stop the instance. Let's stop it. So the stopping will take more time. So again I'll pause the video and I'll come back once the stop is successful. Meanwhile, you just see that you can add more number of layers and register more instances to this particular stack. So there is no restriction as such in terms of how many layers and how many instances you are going to create as part of this particular stack. If your application really desires so many layers and the instances. So it roughly took around 1.5 minutes to stop all the to stop this particular service. It is currently in a stop mode. So I'm in my EC2 console, and as you can see that this particular server that we have created is in a stop mode. So I'll go back, I'll delete this. So delete is completely removing it from AWS. It means terminating, right? So now currently there are no instances, and if I go and refresh this thing, so it is terminated. Now we have deleted that. Then let's go to layers, and let's remove this layer as well. We do not want layers. The layer has been removed, and then I will go to the stack, and uh, delete stack. It asks for confirmation. I'll say yes, and the stack is also been removed. Now we are currently doesn't have anything on our stack. So this is the cleanup process. So as I said, cleanup is also very important, especially when you are testing certain services on the AWS. If you don't clean up, you end up in receiving a huge bill. So don't do that. So cleaning, you please do the cleaning after your labs. So thanks guys. Hope this video was very helpful to you understanding OpsWorks. So if you have any comments, feedback for this particular video, please let us know. And if you need any other services or anything, please let us know, and we will make a video out of it and we'll put it on the YouTube. Okay. So thanks once again guys for watching this video.